you wake up at 2 a.m. and just lie there in the dark, your body isn't broken, it's remembering something. For 300,000 years, every human who ever lived woke up in the middle of the night. Then, in 1 century, we made ourselves forget how. Tonight, when the sun goes down, you're going to flip a switch, light will flood the room, and you won't think twice about it. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch didn't exist. When the sun set, the world went dark, completely dark, not dim, not night mode on your phone dark. You couldn't see your own hand in front of your face, and your ancestors lived through that every single night for their entire lives. So did their parents, so did every generation before them, back further than you can really picture. Before fire, our ancestors were like every other primate. When the sun went down, you climbed a tree or found a sheltered spot, and you stayed still. Moving at night meant becoming food. Our eyes are terrible in the dark compared to the predators that hunted us. Leopards, hyenas, wolves, all of them could see just fine. We couldn't. If you'd been born back then, that fear you feel walking through a dark room in your own house, bumping into furniture, imagining shapes, that fear is old. It's not irrational. It kept your ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years. Then came fire, and fire changed the rules overnight. Literally, a campfire creates a circle of safety roughly 30 feet in diameter. Inside that circle, predators won't come. Outside that circle, you die. This isn't an exaggeration. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented that people who wander from the fire at night are still, even today, significantly more likely to be killed by predators. The line between the light and the dark used to be the line between living and not. The earliest solid evidence of humans controlling fire comes from Wonderwerk cave in South Africa, roughly 1 million years ago. And fire didn't just keep people warm, it restructured the human day itself. Before fire, the useful day ended at sunset, maybe 12 hours in summer, as few as 8 in winter. Fire suddenly added 2 to 4 usable hours to every single day. Over thousands of generations, those extra hours changed our species. So think about that. Right now, you get those extra hours for free. You don't think of them as a luxury. You think of them as just your evening. But for most of human history, those hours had to be earned, defended, and kept alive with your own hands. In 2014, anthropologist Holly Weissner published a study recording conversations among the hoansi bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth still living something close to the original human lifestyle. In the day, about 80% of conversations were practical. Who's hunting where? Which plants are ready? Logistics, complaints. Daytime talk was work, but at night, around the fire, everything changed. 81% of conversations were stories, tales of distant places, myths about the origin of the world, jokes that made the whole camp laugh. The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, the original church. It's where humans learned to think beyond the immediate present, to imagine things that don't exist yet. It's where we became us. Every story you've ever loved, every myth, every piece of fiction you've read or watched, the root of it goes back to people sitting in the dark, lit by fire, needing something to say to each other before they slept. But the night wasn't just about stories around the fire. There was something else happening. Something scientists only rediscovered in the last 30 years. Something that might explain a night you've had yourself more than once. You were not designed to sleep the way you sleep right now. In 2001, historian Roger Ekirch published a paper that changed sleep science. He'd spent 16 years digging through historical records and found something nobody expected. Over 500 references spanning centuries, prayer books from the 1400s, court records, diaries, medical texts, letters from ordinary people, even passages in Homer's Odyssey. All of them mentioned the same thing: first sleep and second sleep. Before the industrial age, people did not sleep in one continuous block. They went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for about 4 hours, then woke up. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night. Then they went back to sleep for another 4 hours until dawn. This wasn't insomnia. This was normal. This was how every human on the planet slept for thousands of years. So if you've ever woken up at 2 a.m., checked the time, and felt a flicker of panic, why am I awake? Something's wrong with me. You were reacting to something your body has done on purpose for almost the entire history of our species. So what did people do during that wakeful window in the middle of the night? Everything. A 16th century French physician recommended that couples conceive children during this window because they would do it better. People visited neighbors. They interpreted their dreams while they were still fresh. They wrote. They simply lay in the dark and thought. A doctor's manual from the 1500s advised patients that the best time to study and reflect was during the watch, the quiet hours between first and second sleep, when the mind was calm and the world was still. Not a symptom, not a problem to fix, a recommended, useful part of the day. Now, historians had been reading these references for centuries, but they kept translating first sleep as something else because they couldn't imagine people ever sleeping differently than we do now. The assumption was so deep that translators literally mistranslated ancient Greek and medieval Latin just to make it fit their modern experience. They edited history to match their own bedtime. But then science confirmed what history had been saying all along. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health ran an experiment. He took a group of volunteers and removed all artificial light from their lives. For 1 month, they experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, just like our ancestors would have, before fire extended the evening. Within weeks, every single participant settled into the exact same pattern. 4 hours of sleep, 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, then 4 more hours of sleep. Nobody told them to do this. Nobody suggested it. Their bodies just did it, as if some ancient program had been waiting inside them the whole time, buried under a couple hundred years of artificial light. Wehr measured their hormone levels during that wakeful period and found something remarkable. Their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin, the same hormone released during meditation and after orgasm. They described feeling peaceful, reflective, almost meditative. It wasn't just a gap in sleep. It was its own distinct state of consciousness, one most modern humans have never experienced, not even once. Read that again. There's a state of mind built into your biology, and most people alive today have never felt it. So what killed it? The answer is simpler than you'd think. Light. In the 1600s, cities began installing street lamps. Paris was one of the first, under Louis XIV, who wanted to reduce crime. London followed. Then came cheaper candles. Then gas lamps in the 1800s. Then, in 1879, Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb. And within a generation, the night as humans had known it for 300,000 years was gone, not over centuries, over one generation, one grandparent's lifetime. Here's a piece nobody talks about. The word curfew comes from the French couvre-feu. It literally means cover fire. In medieval towns, a bell would ring at night, signaling everyone to cover or extinguish their fires, not because of safety, because night was supposed to be dark. Night was when you slept. In many medieval European cities, walking outside after dark without a lantern was literally illegal. Night belonged to criminals and the supernatural, and people feared it in a way that's almost impossible for us to understand today, sitting here with a phone lighting up our face at midnight without a second thought. Modern humans are exposed to artificial light for an average of 7 to 8 hours after sunset. This light, especially the blue light from screens, suppresses your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. Your body doesn't know the difference between a light bulb and the sun. When light hits your retina at 11 p.m., your brain interprets it as daytime. It delays melatonin release. It fragments your sleep. It disrupts a rhythm that took millions of years to build. Researchers have found that people who go camping for just 1 week with no artificial light at all have their melatonin cycles reset by nearly 2 hours. Their bodies start producing melatonin at sunset instead of hours after it. That's all it takes, 1 week for 300,000 years of programming to reassert itself. Your body hasn't forgotten, it's just been waiting for the lights to go off. We didn't just change when we sleep, we eliminated an entire phase of human consciousness, that quiet, reflective state between first and second sleep. The state wehr's subject described as peaceful and meditative doesn't exist anymore for most people. Instead, we have insomnia, and we treat it like a disorder. We take something for it. We panic about it. We scroll on our phones trying to force it away, which, of course, only pushes it further out of reach. But what if it's not a disorder at all? What if waking up at 2 a.m. and lying there in the dark isn't your body malfunctioning? What if it's your body remembering what it was built to do? For 300,000 years, your ancestors spent their nights in a rhythm modern science is only beginning to understand. They gathered around fires and told stories that built civilizations. They slept in 2 phases with a quiet window in between. They lived in darkness so complete that the Milky Way wasn't something you had to drive to a national park to see. It was just the sky every night right above them. And every night when they woke in the dark between first sleep and second sleep, they lay there in silence and thought about their lives, their dreams, and the world they'd wake up to in the morning. Not anxious, not checking a phone, just there, awake on purpose in the dark. We traded all of that for a light switch, and most of us never even knew it was gone. So next time it's 2 a.m. and you're lying there awake, try not reaching for your phone. Try just lying there in the dark, the way humans did for almost the entirety of our existence. See what it feels like to let your mind do what it was built to do. If this changed how you think about your own 2 a.m., subscribe, because next time we're going somewhere even darker than this.